I went to Fotorama in downtown Philadelphia, and I saw the Bolex of my dreams. It was in a leather case, and it was pretty much in mint condition. And it was around $500. So I asked them if they would hold that for me. And they said, "No, David, we can't hold it for you. If someone comes in and wants it, we are going to sell it to them." And it was near closing time. So I told them I would be there. I said, "What time do you open up?" And they said, 8 o'clock. I said, "I will be here." But in those days, I couldn't wake up. So I had to stay up all night. I went and got the money from Bart. And at 8 o'clock in the morning, I went into Fotorama. And I have the receipt still to this day. The receipt of my Bolex, I think it was $478.28. I got the Bolex. It had a wind-up, and it also had a motor. You unscrew the winding handle and put the motor in there, and then you can run off AC. But it was a complete package that I got from Fotorama. And that's what started the whole thing.
Hello and welcome back to a brand new season of Frame by Frame.
Woo!
That's Andy Lewin making noises.
Yes.
I don't need special effects for this episode. Andy's going to do them all.
I'll do them all. Here's my Lynch one.
What's that?
Yeah, that sort of noise that's in the back of everything that just makes you feel uneasy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that was.
That's
it sounded more like a
indigestion.
didgeridoo, didn't it? It sounded more like a didgeridoo.
Well, we have a didgeridoo downstairs, and for Catherine, yeah, that would sound like a didgeridoo. If I did anything with a didgeridoo, it would just be... It would be awful.
Yeah, they're remarkably hard to play, aren't they?
They're not easy. There's a lot.
No.
There's a lot going on there, and it's like blowing on a bottle and getting that right angle.
Like blowing into a elephant's trunk.
Elephant's trunk, yeah. Wow.
Anyway,
we are starting this episode and this season in a very kind of disconnected state, but I think what's going to happen over the next a few episodes in a few weeks and possibly a month or so, things are going to come together. Things are going to make sense, right?
We've been doing this for years, and maybe one day it'll make sense.
10 years.
10 years.
You talking to me?
Did you have a brain tumor for breakfast?
Then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
I'm funny how? I mean, funny like a clown. You?
I'm Peter Venkman. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man.
Damn! Hot.
I'm kind of a big deal.
First thing of my brother is, do not talk about my
Yeah, baby! You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
Last season, we did the whole of the 90s decade of films, and it was a really interesting experiment.
Yeah,
really enjoyed it, and but ending on a straight story was kind of perfect.
Yeah, it was.
And the fact that we had 11 episodes in season 11, the numerology. I've mentioned this to you, Andy. That
You sent it last night when I was falling asleep. Yeah.
It's about enlightenment, and it's like, wow. This is like everything kind of just falling into place, and I like that. I like symbolism. Symbolism's fun.
It is.
And one person who knows how to do symbolism,
Michael Bay.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, let's thank Michael Bay for joining us.
I was just about to say Michael frickin' Bay. I was so close. He was on the tip of my tongue.
Just that you never want Michael Bay on the tip of your tongue.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing we probably have to ban from this. It's like when we start talking about David Lynch movies like Eraserhead, what would Michael Bay do? It's like no, it's
what would Michael Bay's the alphabet be? It just wouldn't.
It just wouldn't. He would just go, nah, I can't do it.
Unless it was like A's for ass, B's for bitches.
So let's just get it out of the way now. No Michael Bay. Michael Bay is not allowed to mess up.
No, if you're here for the Michael Bayisms,
get
about it.
Yeah, next season, next time, whatever that will be. But we decided pretty much when we found out that David Lynch had passed that we were going to do a retrospective, that we were going to kind of go through his films, because we've been trying to do this for years.
Yeah.
And it's a fascinating journey, I think, especially for people who don't know much of his work or have so far avoided his work. I mean, there are people who are only just getting into David Lynch because they weren't too sure what to make of it.
Yeah.
Twin Peaks was confusing to people. Well, at my age, when I was like 10, I didn't want to watch Twin Peaks. It was confusing. It was like melodramatic and sentimental and all over the place.
Yeah,
it took me a while.
I came into it later on. Yeah.
I mean, I understood that when X-Files came about and all of that, when you actually realize the influence that came from Twin Peaks, especially, it's in everything. It's in absolutely everything, and it's still going to be within everything, and it's going to continue to be there.
Yeah, of course. Like we've said many times, it's like, TV would not be what it is now if it hadn't been for Twin Peaks and how they sort of reinvented what you could do.
Exactly.
With TV. And that just because of getting into that and Twin Peaks, and all of a sudden this person, this David Lynch, I want to see everything else he's done, and all of a sudden he just becomes the great American filmmaker of our time. He really does. A guy with a unique vision. Just the term genius gets batted about a lot.
It does.
It does, and
it's a tricky term. It's a tricky term.
It is. To me, genius is like for instance, people say, "Oh, David Bowie, he was a genius," and I will go, "Well, no." Because I think he was probably one of the greatest songwriters of our time. He was an incredible guy, and I love his work, and I always have. He's been a hero of mine since I was 10.
Yeah.
But genius, no. I just think brilliant and clever and insightful and brilliant, brilliant man.
He was born to do what he did.
But genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that to me is genius, is having this thing that's got to come out, not something that you can intellectualize.
Yeah.
And go, I'm going to talk about this in an intellectual way. It's something that's inside you, just comes out, and it's this weird formed thing, and it comes out of a way, and it can't come out of anyone else in any other way than that, and like I was thinking, like Brian Wilson from the Beach Boys, he's a genius because it had this thing that just came out.
Yes.
No one else could do that.
It was just pure that. Everything else didn't matter. I mean, he struggled with social skills. People didn't get him sometimes as well. Brian Wilson was a very he was not atypical. He was not the kind of person you would want to see tending bar or driving taxis. He was born to do what he did.
Yeah. And that's kind of, I would say that Lynch probably was, a genius.
Yeah.
Because of this, now I'm reading his book as well, it's kind of that Lynch was just Lynch. He came out formed.
Exactly.
It was just something different about him, you know. And
there's nothing to compare with, and that's the important thing. There's nothing. He is like this brand new tree in a forest that's just there, and you don't know why it's there, but it came from a seed out of nowhere, and that's, you know, he's kind of like the embodiment of his movies, really, the embodiment of his short films, especially, and his paintings. He is. It's a fascinating. He is the most fascinating texture of a person, and it's the texture of him. He is himself a piece of art, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You get him cooking quinoa in a kitchen in a black and white film, just cooking rice, cooking anything, doing anything, and it would be art. You can't take the artist out of him. It's incredible. Yeah,
that's right.
Sit him outside of a studio in LA with a cow, and promoting the artistry of Laura Dern should be, you know, nominated for the Academy Award for this film. Just having sitting there next to a cow is profound art.
It is.
That's
it. Is. So when people find it difficult or find it, I don't really want to go there with it, because anytime there's anything weird happens in a film, it gets termed Lynchian, doesn't it?
Yes.
And then I think a lot of people are put off by, like, well, that's the weird part of the film. Why do I want to watch an entire film of that? Do you know what I mean? I think so. Sometimes, even though I use it myself all the time, I just used it when we're talking about Midsummer, because there's certain elements of that is quite surreal and uncanny, and it gives a Lynchian sort of feeling to it.
Yeah.
But I suppose we shouldn't really use it as much because
it was there before him.
But yeah. I think that's what I think
that's what you're saying, that we're kind of like we're kind of like putting all this energy into his, you know, that everything stems from him. All of a sudden, he is the center of the universe of uncanny art, of obscure art. And it is too much pressure, I think, to kind of keep doing that. But at the same time, you know, you look for a source. Everybody the answer is always at the source, you know, and things that we don't understand. Lynch is probably the most accessible person to be able to deliver that and understand it. So we put it all onto his. We put it at his feet. It's the dead bird at his feet that we keep on dragging like a cat.
Yeah, and, very good. Very good.
And we keep on saying, "This is yours. This is yours."
Yeah,
you make sense of it.
Yeah. So by looking at his work and his paintings and his early short films, you think, "Oh, what happened in this guy's childhood?"
Yeah,
but there's nothing like that. He had a nice upbringing. His parents were quite conservative.
Yeah, just a genuine. You know, they were concerned about him and wanted to make sure he did well. You know, he was a kid who got into trouble.
Yeah.
You know, he did, but the things he gets into trouble for, filling a house with snow.
Yeah.
And then putting all the towels outside on the road. That's the kind of. I mean, we as kids, we would go around. We would break glass panes that were from abandoned houses, and a couple of kids would put traffic cones in the middle of the roads and stupid things, dumb things like that. But he's out there poking a dead cow and watching and seeing what happens when it explodes. It's like. But so at different degrees. He blew up a lot of things as well. He liked blowing things up.
Yeah, but don't we all?
Yeah. What did you blow up as a kid? Anything?
Yeah, I used to like bottles and things like that. I blew up
bottle rockets. Did you? Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I grew up in Wigan, so that was just.
No, that's just normal.
That's what the parents do.
Yeah, every night it's rocket fuel
Yeah, exactly. Come on, it's 9 o'clock. Let's go and smash some
Let's go blow Grandma's house up again. Yeah. But yeah, it's bizarre. But that he had such an ordinary and yet fascinating upbringing.
But I suppose that's what I'm trying to get at. Is he's just a person that there was no weird background to him.
No,
but he just was different. He just saw things differently.
But
you know what I'm getting at?
Exactly. But there is that defining moment. There is just one defining moment. I mean, there are moments in his childhood where, like the mysterious naked woman who walks across the road, or the young boy who was sat sobbing next to the side of the road, whose father had died. You know, and there are all these moments that kind of he starts to collect.
I never studied. I never did anything. I hated it so much. I hated it like powerful hate. The only thing that was important is what happened outside of school. And that had huge impact on me. People and relationships, slow dancing parties, big love and dreams, dark, fantastic dreams.
And starts to kind of build. He's looking at his world. It's all a painting. Things that are happening are these like moments that he's capturing in his mind, and all of a sudden he has a friend whose dad was a painter.
I always loved to paint and draw. I felt like this was the life of a painter. I didn't ever think that an adult could be a painter. I never really, I guess, thought about it, but I was on the front yard of my girlfriend's house at night, and I met there a kid who was not going to my high school, but I was in the 9th grade, I think, and he was going to a private school, but I was meeting him for the first time in this front yard on the grass. And we started talking, and during the talk, he happened to tell me his father was a painter. And at first I thought maybe a house painter. Then he said, no, a fine art painter. And a bomb went off in my head. Literally, it was like I had signed up for science classes in math stuff in high school, and in a millisecond, way less than a full second, I only wanted to be a painter. After I heard that, it gave me permission, and I knew that was it, and that's all I wanted from that second on. And I got him to take me to his father's studio, which at that time was over in Georgetown. I was this was in Virginia, where I was going to high school. So, and Bushnell Keeler was his father, and my friend's name was Toby. So he took me over to Bushnell's place. It was the real deal studio. I fell madly in love, and that was it.
That was that sudden moment that clicked. It was like, oh, you can do this. I want to do this.
Yeah.
And he doesn't stop.
But no, he doesn't. But that's the point, isn't it? It's like, you'd see, if I came across a lad whose dad had just died, who was upset, you try and console him and talk to him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't then think, I'm going to write a song about this. It'd just be a moment where you try and help somebody. Do you get what I mean? But without even realizing that you can be an artist and make a career, well, not a career because he hates that term.
Yes.
But you can do that. You can do that. This is where Lynch is just different than other people, because all these things, then, like you just said, end up cementing in work that's going to come up later on.
Yes.
But it's moments that he'll remember, but he thinks about these things differently. There was just something different about him.
Yes. Because he didn't just sit there and console him and tell the kid. I think he was more observing He observes things, and and it's I can understand that. You know that he's it's like he is on the outside looking in. You know, everybody else is just experiencing and living. He's kind of like he's got a frame, and everything is happening in that frame. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, amazing. What a guy. Oof.
Yeah, and so and
then he starts painting, doesn't he? He just starts painting, and then when you see these paintings that he's done, there's already Lynch in that. There's already something odd and not quite, something quite disturbing about his paintings. It's like this really nice guy that everyone likes, and he was popular in school, and he got into a bit of trouble, but he was very approachable, and people, and he always had girlfriends.
He was forgivable. He was always forgivable, and he was always, the people believed that he was good. There was no cynicism about his character at all.
Then this art comes out of him.
Yeah.
It's always got the element of something disturbing about it.
I found it quite fascinating that he tells about leaving a place. He and his family had to uproot and move, and I think that's when they moved to Boise, and the whole town, or the village, the town set where he was in, they were all like really sad that he was leaving. They watched his family just pack up and go, and I just imagined they're all just like broken because this beautiful family had just upped and left, and it's like, what are we going to do now? And it's like, that's exactly how we felt this time last week, Yeah,
absolutely.
It's crazy.
Conversely, if we left here, I think it'd probably take a month before the neighbours realised we'd left.
Well, that's it. Exactly. Who's gonna? I mean, the impact that he and his family made in those early days, where it shows that he had something going on before he even put a paint to that canvas. That there was.
Yeah.
He had something innately, a gravity to him. There's, people wanted to be around that character, and exactly, and that doesn't match up with what he painted at all.
No,
because he found but that isn't that the thing though. If you're a good character, if you're a really positive person, even the bad stuff, even a decaying corpse of a rat is beautiful,
Yeah.
And that's and showing it and saying, look at this, this is not just a painting. This has texture, it has depth, and it's made out of goo and gunk and mud, and there might be a little bit of me in there as well.
Yeah.
But
it's just seeing the beauty in everything. That's kind of his superpower, wasn't it? Of just being able to see that. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you get those girls in school who, especially during those acne years, that you got a spot, and they come up to you and they say, "Oh, can I pop it?" And I'm like, "You're gross. Stop it. That's disgusting." But that's that kind of that fascination with stuff that that you want to just kind of keep private. It's not a pleasant thing, but those puss girls, that's what we'll call them.
Puss girls.
But it's always the girls. The boys wouldn't come up to you and say, "Oh, can I pop that?" It's always the girl who come bouncing over and go, she'd smell of strawberry lip gloss, and you're like, "Okay, back away, girl."
Yeah, okay. I like how you liken in Lynch's early art to teenage girls popping spots on your face when you're at school.
That's kind of like my only reference for that kind of stuff, because we didn't have a dead cow to poke. We didn't.
Oh.
There was a hedgehog that had all of its insides out that I saw as a kid. Probably the first time I actually saw the workings of a creature on the outside, and it's like, you know, you don't forget those moments. It's impression. It's a very strong memory that you know. But yeah. His painting. I mean, there's a beautiful art book that's out. Have you seen the David Lynch art book? That's a big red.
I've not seen it. Yeah, I've not. I know of it, and I've seen like pictures online, but I've never actually held the book in my hand.
It's in Waterstones, and it was like £35, and I was like thinking, oh, I've got to put this on my Christmas list. And it's like, it's a beautiful book. I think it's definitely going to be my next purchase. But it's just got everything that he ever did, lithographs, you name it. But yeah, definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, well, he went to various art colleges, didn't he? But he never really.
No.
You know, he kind of left them, didn't he? It's not something. I think studying is not something. Even though he was good at school and he was intelligent and he got good grades, the moment he found art, he just didn't care about it. And I think, you know, he really didn't enjoy the whole
art life.
Yeah, the art life, the crafting, the learning how to do something.
Yes.
I think he was more, again, having this unique vision, this unique take on things, and he just wanted to do that and not be taught how to do, you know, not be taught how to do it. He just wanted to do it, you know.
And the fact that he actually was able to have a business sense is remarkable, considering, you know, he would never have been a banker or a businessman. You know, selling is, I don't know, it's the devil that has to accompany you as a creative. You have to have these skills to be able to present your work, to be able to sell your work, to be able to make something of it. And he still managed to maybe surround himself with the right people. Like we say, he gravitated, people gravitated towards him, so it seemed as though he had that good sense to make sure that he was able to carry on doing what he wanted to do without, you know, he was never an artist surviving. He always seemed to be right where he wanted to be everywhere. And if he didn't, he would just write a hot letter and say, I quit. And then all of a sudden they are begging him to come back. You know, that kind of, you know.
But isn't that part of Lynch's perspective on things, where wherever he was, he'd see the beauty and the art in that?
Yes.
So wherever he could be, he would just make it work, whether he was in an awful building.
Yes.
He saw as beautiful, so he could paint.
Yeah.
But someone else, like ourselves, maybe being there thinking, I can't make this work. There's rats everywhere. There's that. You'd see the beauty in it.
Yes.
Because like I'm not doing it very well, but he just saw things differently.
Yes.
He just that was it, you know. So it wasn't the fact of like, I'll be here and I'm just lucky to be in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
He'd be there and he'd make it the right place at the right time because he'd just see the beauty in where he was and paint and create. That's what he was about. That's what he just wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, sure, he had his difficulties. I think his difficulties often stemmed with things getting in his way. You know, things often got in his way, and they, you know, to say the least, he didn't want to fit in with anybody else's idea of you know, of what he wanted to be. It had to be on his terms, which in a way probably made him quite difficult to work with. He, you know, to begin with, I would say there were probably a lot of people who kind of thought, oh, he's David, just being David, just let him get on with it. Jack Fisk seems to be able to work with him well. Let him get on with it. We'll do our important stuff over here. And that's the kind of like the, you know, you're bound to have those kind of characters who would look at him and look down on him in that way, but know that he's benign, he's safe, he's fine, let him just get on with it. They you know, eventually those people would just break away and split off, do their own thing, and David Lynch was constantly surrounded with the right people, you know?
Yeah.
And he would keep those people. again, like many directors, you know, when you've got your Robert De Niro to your Martin Scorsese, you know, or your Leonardo DiCaprio to your Martin Scorsese, you keep those people with you. And he did.
Yeah.
Everybody was useful, but I got the sense that, you know, it's like with his relationship with Peggy Reevey, who he eventually married, who was Peggy Lynch. She fit into his life. He didn't necessarily fit into her life.
No, and then when the arts took over, she was basically pushed to the side.
Yeah. Or used, if possible. I mean, that's why she did the thing. You know, why she did the alphabet. Why, you know, she wanted to be close to David, and she, you know, it was perfect marriage of practicality, and
but I think, you know, they loved each other, and but she was in the same way that Catherine's in CO3. You know what I mean? It's because she's supporting you to create what you want to do. And
I mean, not to be negative, but it's more the case of it's every single person he had a relationship with they still loved him. They still, you know, there was still the love, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say, is that they understood exactly what he wanted to do, and they understood their position in that. That it was not, they were
absolutely
always going to be, you know.
And Lynch being Lynch, when a relationship has run its course and it ends, he'll see the beauty in that. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, things come to an end, as all things must come to an end, and that's beautiful.
Oh, can you imagine him on the, you know, he was you know, his last week of life watching Los Angeles burning. You know, I thought, oh, I mean, how heartbreaking would have that been for him? No, it probably wasn't. He's
probably looking at the flames and thought, oh, the beauty.
Oh, it's such a beautiful, because that's like the opening of Firewalk with Me, wasn't that? Flames, or Wild at Heart?
Wild at Heart, Firewalk with Me is the TV.
Yeah, that's it. Wild at Heart was like the flame kind of opening, and so he would always see an opportunity, even in disaster and destruction. There's that famous thing. Well, famous. It's the thing that's in his book. After he made 6 figures who were sick, he was asked he was commissioned to do a private piece of work for somebody. And
for someone's house.
Yeah, for someone's house. He worked on it for 2 months, and went to take the negative to be processed, and discovered that the whole thing was blurred.
The day came to take the film out of the camera and take it to the lab. And I did that, and then I've got to wait, and I went back a couple of days later and got the film. All I remember is standing on the front stoop with the film, and I wanted to look at it right away, and I start spooling it out, happily. And I'm spooling it out, and always at the beginning of a reel, there's, you know, funk and, you know, strange occurrences. And then you get to the stuff. But all I saw was blur. No frame lines, just a continuous blur. I could tell some things that were happening, but it was just a string of blur. And at the time, I thought, this is a catastrophe. And yet, I couldn't get upset. I really didn't get upset in my mind, looking back. I got very upset at the very beginning, but then it dissolved into another thing that I couldn't quite explain. So pretty soon after that, I called Bart, and he said to me, David, take the rest of the money and do whatever you want, and give me a print.
You know, it was like there was a moment of, you know, there's that famous clip of him in the car going, I'm depressed. But I bet that's like, it happens. He says it, and then probably something in his head goes, no, you're not. Move on.
Yeah. Well, the things that depressed him was the bastardization of the art form that he loved so much.
Yes.
That's the kind of thing that depressed him. I can't remember what he was actually talking about when he said he's in the car and just said, fuck, I'm depressed, you know, but...
Yeah.
But You know, so that when he's talking about the iPhone and people watching films on laptops, it's hilarious now, but that depressed him.
Yeah, he didn't like it. I mean, at that time, he didn't quite understand and accept it, but we were all watching, we all watch things on these devices because that's what's, it's evolution in a way, but devolution to him, because what's beautiful is having that projector screen. It's having that painting on the screen. It's like you don't have a painting on your phone. You can't. It's not the same. He likes texture. Pictures aren't flat. I mean, paintings were never flat to him. They had depth and texture, and you can almost feel and smell them and sense them, and all the senses. But you can't get that from a photo on a phone. And so he's probably just recognizing that so much of what he wants to give will just not be felt or seen or touched or smelt, or it's the big picture, it is the big picture.
But that's how. So he, obviously he was in and out of art college, and how he got into film, wasn't it? He did a painting, didn't he, of was it like a forest at night time?
That's it, yeah.
And he was looking at the picture, and he could hear wind.
Yes, there was a breeze.
Then there was a breeze, and he could see the leaves moving, and he just thought, moving painting.
Moving painting.
And I was looking at this painting, and I heard a wind, and I saw the painting, move a little bit. And that's what started the whole thing. I wanted to see a painting move and have sound to it. And so that led to an animated project on a sculptured screen for this painting and experimental painting and sculpture contest. And I built a sculptured screen about 6 feet by 8 feet, and I animated a minute of animation to be projected upon that sculptured screen, and I made this siren loop that went with it.
And there you go. That's how we got into film.
There we start with our first David Lynch short, 6 Men Getting Sick.
Getting sick. Yes. Okay.
So this short, it's a 4-minute short. Well, I say it's 1 minute times 6, so it should be 6 minutes. But I think it was kind of condensed to fit the 4-minute framework.
It's basically an animation, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was filmed in the Pennsylvania Hotel, which was owned by the actual university, and there's differing stories whether it was an actual hotel room that he was given, that he hopefully covered plastic everywhere and made it, it made it look like he was probably going to do some sort of a sick act of murdering somebody, just to make sure that he didn't ruin the place. But or it was an abandoned room in this hotel. But yeah, it was he and Jack Fisk working together. It required plaster of Paris. It required a lot of different techniques to create this kind of it was like a canvas. Pretty much it was a canvas. And it just went through all these different changes, biological changes. So again, it's taking art and just making it, moving it so that it was kind of like an event that was occurring to these 6 characters. All at the same time, they have the film depicts some sort of a viral stomachache or something that is eaten.
Well, it's sort of like 6 abstracted figures, isn't it?
Yes.
And their organs are visible.
Yes.
And the stomach sort of filled with a substance, travels up the heads, and then they vomit.
Yeah.
That's it, really, and it's just a loop of that, isn't it?
It is.
That siren going on in the background.
And it's like, watch 1, watch 2, watch 3, and it counts you down and says, are you ready? He's telling you exactly what he wants you to do. Just pay attention. Just keep an eye on it. Watch it. But it happens 6 times. You kind of, by the third time, you think, all right, I get it. Do I need to see it again? Yes. Okay. All right, here we go again. And the siren is continuous, and you're thinking, is this going to change? No, it doesn't. It just carries on.
And it feels like a long time. When you're watching it, it's only, it's over 5 minutes long. My God, it's a long 5 minutes.
It is. It
demands your attention.
It demands, but it's regurgitated. It's the same, and it says so much. And the thing is, this happens when you go into a museum and you find those rooms, those hidden rooms where you kind of go around the side. You can hear something's going on in there. It's dark. You turn the corner and you can see people sitting in chairs watching a film or watching something. And once you're in there, you're shut off from the world. Nothing else exists. And for the time of watching the film, everything, only that matters. Your thoughts aren't on anything else. There's no distraction. There's nothing. It's just you with this film the whole time. And that's always, to me, is the mark of a good piece of art, is that you are with it. You are disconnected from everything else that is going on, but it's just you and that piece of art, and that's it. And that's what this film does. It does demand. It demands your attention.
It does.
And it's it's a laugh a minute.
Oh, it's an absolute riot. But it's again though, it's disturbing, isn't it? It's awkward and it's hard to. Well, it's not hard to watch per se, but it's
when it's going to happen again. They're going to be sick. You're just kind of waiting for that moment, and that's it's anticipation. And I almost want to sit here and say what I think it means, and I kind of. You kind of just look. I'm looking up or looking across, and there's David Lynch saying, "No, don't."
Well, but his point was to not explain what it means to him. He wants other people to give what they think it means.
Maybe that's where the enjoyment is. Being an artist is hearing what other people think of it.
Maybe, and giving their own interpretation on it. I mean, it will always be the first person to say no. But what's up?
Oh. Hi, Nina Jaden. Thank you very much for the raid. Do you know what? All this time, I didn't actually hit record. I've actually hit streaming. Don't panic.
We've been streaming.
We've been streaming this. Okay, but it's been fine because we're talking about David Lynch. I can change that up a little bit, but thank you very much for the raid.
Ow.
Nina Jaden is a fellow streamer. She streams fantasy games and she streams Japanese games as well. We had no idea we were streaming. It's hilarious. But don't panic. We haven't. I'm
not panicking. You're panicking.
I'm not panicking.
Stop panicking.
I'm not panicking. It's all good. Room to dream. We're talking about David Lynch anyway. So,
keep it streaming.
Keep it streaming for now. Join us. Join us in our discussion. We're talking about our private life, and no, we're not. We're talking about David Lynch.
Yeah. I'm embarrassed of that operation that I told you about. I had on my penis now.
Yeah, I know, but when you've got
now
that
my
kind
penis looks like my penis looks like the baby out of Marisa head.
Yeah, no. Great. I know, but I know it's. But So 6 men getting sick. We'll carry on with our discussion there, and
it was created on a budget of $200, wasn't it?
Which he said was too much.
Yeah, and he got a prize for it, didn't he?
Yeah,
William S. Biddle Caldwell Memorial Prize.
That's
for
the one.
Experimental painting and sculpture.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wrote that down.
You wrote that down. Good. I've got the book open on the page here. I'm just ready to kind of like glance back to it and go, oh yeah, that's that. But yeah, it was very well received.
Just saying, my book's hardback copy. So
oh, you got the hardback. Oh, it is better. Yeah.
There's millions of stories about people who did a film solely to get work to do another film. You should enjoy the doing. You can't control what's going to happen after you finish a thing. If you don't enjoy the doing, that part of your life is, gone, and it's not rewarding. Enjoy the doing. And then you have even a greater chance of getting the next thing. Take just a little bit off the bottom. There's tools available now to more and more people. And those tools can be used to realize your dream, your idea. And it's right there, and it's within reach financially. And let's see what comes out. Let's see what comes out.
He's now in contact with people who are fascinated with film, and he's talking about film stock, and
yeah,
everything's an experiment. The University of Pennsylvania had its own like negative projection lab, and they're working with different things, different chemicals, different stock, different ways of projecting. He used a Meccano rig to set up the camera and everything whilst showing the film. Everything was kind of like on a whim, learning new ways, new technologies, and because David Lynch was fascinated by all of that, he was like, yeah, absolutely, bring it over, let me try it, let me do this, let me try that. He wanted to try everything. I don't think there was a single medium that he didn't do. There was... He even did comic book style kind of drawings at one time, and he did rabbits, and it's like there's not one thing that he didn't try. And of course, after
he released albums, didn't he? Like
Crazy
Clown Time. Time. He did music. He did everything because it was art.
It was art.
To create.
Yes. Yeah. And he was probably just excited because he thought, well, music has album covers and sleeves, and he was probably fascinated by vinyl covers. He probably looked at those and thought, wow, I want to do this as well, or just everything. It was like a hunger for anything to just try. It's a wonder he didn't actually. I think he's frozen. Andy? Is this a piece of art? I think Andy's frozen. I'm not too sure why. Okay. This is interesting. Let me just message him. I wonder if Andy knows that he is frozen. Oh, he's
there
back.
You go.
Oh, I was just about to message you and say, you have frozen.
Right, well, I was just telling you, you're frozen. I was about to message.
Oh, we both froze.
And then the whole thing just went off, and then it like rebooted and came up again. It was very weird.
Well, I was sitting here thinking, hang on, is this intentional? Is this art? It was like you were just like that.
Oh, of course it was.
It was like, yeah, I was sucked in. I believe it was definitely intentional. Where were we?
So, the next one then. All right. Anyway, he finds out someone was having this nightmare and was saying the alphabet. Just give him the idea to make the alphabet.
Yeah.
So Peggy's went to her parents' house for a visit, and her little niece was there, and I think in a darkened room, in a little bed and was having a nightmare and repeating the alphabet over and over in this nightmare. And so Peggy told me about this, and it must have, triggered something, and that was what I went to work on, is the alphabet based on Peggy's niece's nightmare, or my imaginings of it.
Fucking hell.
But it's not like he's doing the Sesame Street alphabet. This isn't.
Oh no.
No. There's no Elmo in this. There's no Big Bird. This is something else, man.
But it depicts a nightmare very, very well.
Very much so, and
the pure Lynchisms in it. It's just so. That's what I'm trying to say earlier. It's as if he just come out fully formed. Yeah. Whatever's in here just can come out in whatever way it comes out. It's got to come out, and it comes out in the most Lynch way possible.
And he's not scared. He's not holding back. There's nothing in here that says, "Oh, I better reach out to the middleman. I better reach out to the audience and do something that they would want to see." He doesn't cut corners. He doesn't fall short. He is all in.
And again, this is 5 minutes long, and
it is.
Yeah, and this is also quite disturbing.
Very, yeah. It's. And I watched it downstairs on the projector screen late at night after everybody went to bed, and I watched it again. Of course, watching different versions, because there are some mixed up versions on YouTube that people have kind of messed with, I feel. But somewhere in between there is that nightmare scene of the girl writhing in bed.
Yeah.
And there's no background, there's no room. It's just pure black and white. I mean, it doesn't get the contrast don't get as any more stark than it does in this movie. And it's so short. It's
just that the ending part to it, she's just, it's like stop motion, which is pointing to A, B, C, D, E, and it's said in that that very quite disturbing A, B, C, D, and she's pointing at different things, and the expression on her face goes through the alphabet. And then it's just her writhing in bed, like she's in pain, and then it goes off, and you're like, what?
Please remember, you are dealing with a human form.
A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, N, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I've said my ABCs. Tell me what you think of me.
It really leaves you with a sense of despair. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
It is a nightmare. It's like you say. It's nightmare fuel. It's nightmare fuel. Yeah. And when you have a nightmare and you kind of recount it and you kind of try and explain to somebody that this happened, it's exactly every dream is like a Lynch short film. Yeah. He's able to get that and just put it out there for us to look at, things that we would ordinarily not be able to explain or to express. It's all there. How do you trust somebody who is so obscure, but he's able to explain it in such a way?
Yeah, because he was trying to say that the alphabet was symbolically about the fear of learning. That's what he believed.
Fear of learning,
and obviously learning the alphabet,
But to me, there's anxiety in it. It is that waking nightmare of panic dreams. I mean, I've had experiences like this. I've woken up terrified.
Yeah.
It's exactly that, and it's you never expect to see it.
No. And can you think of another director who can, as well as Lynch could, just put that feeling of dread in his films? I can't think of anyone else who could just conjure that feeling of dread like Lynch can.
Nobody who would have those who would have actually done it because they know Lynch's work. I mean, I know Darren Aronofsky could certainly have that effect, or watching Requiem for a Dream is certainly not a comfortable experience, but
but it doesn't fill me with dread. I mean, it's a film I've seen and I never want to watch again, and it's disturbing and horrifying, but it doesn't fill me with that dread, that kind of...
Oh, yeah, you shut it off, you think,
existential thing in your bloody soul that you can't really put your finger on what it is.
You're right. David Lynch's work travels with you, stays with you.
Yeah.
Because he's tapping into something that is recognizable in you.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. And that's pure art, isn't it? I mean, if you watch Eraserhead in the morning and then go about your daily business, that film is with you for the remainder of the day.
Yeah.
Not go away.
That's how we should do it, by the way. We should totally just watch it first, just before we actually do the podcast and see how we...
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
definitely.
just like forget the world. Let's just focus on Eraserhead and Jack Nance and his hair. Amazing.
Yeah.
But it does stay with you. I mean, you're able to shut off other things pretty well, and I don't know, that we say that things get under our skin quite a bit.
Yeah.
But more so, nothing ever gets at you as much as a David Lynch production. A creation. I say production. He probably would hate that as well. It's like you can almost see him grimacing. It's like, no, don't say production. It's not a production. You almost want to say that there's a lot of minimalism. I mean, whereas somebody would actually have shot that same scene of the girl in the bed, they would have had things on the wall behind her. There would have been symbols and shapes and things that were happening. A window, curtains.
Yeah.
Then
that's not...
And that's not Lynch.
It's not Lynch, it wouldn't conjure the same...
Yeah.
If there was lots of stuff to look at, it wouldn't be conjuring the same feeling as this does, where it's literally just a bed and someone in despair in a bed. That's it. But
exactly.
If you had lots of other stuff going on to focus on, it would detract from that thing that he's trying to get you to look at.
Yeah. Watch this. Look at this. Focus in.
Yeah.
It's the banana on the wall with gaffer tape. No, it is that. Yeah, and yeah. But what I love about his work, what I love to see, is that he does every part of it. I love it when he does the writing on his paintings, where he's writing words across it. And they're not. It's not like a word together. It's like a word spread out. The kernelizing of his words are so random, and it's like with the alphabet. That those are that's his pen work. That's his. Those are his strokes. Every part of it is just him going up to it and saying, "Right, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to do that there." And it's But to actually make it move, to animate it, is another level as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there's stop motion involved. There's consistency involved.
Yeah.
Aren't those restraints? Aren't those kind of like, it's so hard to kind of see. It's almost as if he just saw the short film exactly how it was and knew that this had to be moved here, this had to go there, and he didn't care about the process. He just knew what it was supposed to be. It didn't get him down. He didn't get. There's not one moment where he's like, "Oh, this is going to take a long time. I've got to be able to move that object from there to over there." this is going to take a long time. I can imagine he just did it because he probably saw it moving as it happened, much like Nick Park would with Wallace and Gromit. I hate to compare those two, but it's
right,
but it's just knowing, you can see the big picture, and it's going to take.
It's not just that. It's the act of doing it, he would have found beautiful.
Yes,
just moving it every little bit and doing what he needs to do. The whole thing is everything about it is beautiful to him.
Exactly,
sees the beauty in it all. So what do you make of his short film magnum opus, his 30-minute Grandmother?
During the alphabet, I kind of got the bug, and I don't know what would have happened, after a while if I hadn't gotten green lights, but I got this fixation on it, and I really wanted to make the grandmother.
He wrote a script, didn't he? But he said the script wasn't conventional.
Yes.
But he wanted to make it, at the end of it, obviously it says, script by, film, directed, written, screenplay, animation, old Lynch. He just obviously did it all. And basically it's the story, isn't it, of a young boy who grows a grandmother because he's been neglected by his parents.
Which is narrative. That makes sense.
Narrative, it makes sense.
It does.
And Eraserhead makes sense. Narratively, it makes sense. It's just what he conjures up to get that across.
It's all about it's how it looks, and how that kind of, it stops you thinking about what that narrative is. It stops you thinking about, it's a boy growing his grandmother. There's so much more to it.
The depiction of parental abuse is quite graphic in parts of it. So there's parts where clearly this boy keeps urinating in the bed, but the pee in the bed is like just an obviously green painting that he's just put on some bed sheets. It looks obvious, it looks fake.
Yes.
But the guy playing his dad grabs this kid's head and is like smashing the kid's head into where he's just peed his own bed, and stuff like that. And they have these weird little like stop motion things where it'll just be the kid stopped and there's like this weird fake scream in the background, and it'll go on to the next scene. There's all this. It's really. I watched it again last night, and it's quite. It's quite the thing.
Yeah.
There's so much Lynchisms that carry on for the next few decades. He's got a thing about painting someone's face white so the teeth look more yellow.
Yes.
It's a thing that carries on into Twin Peaks.
Yeah, Fire Walk With Me. That's Laura Palmer. It's also Lost Highway with the
guy in another place or whatever he's called.
Guy from who's in two places at once, which is often a thing as well. It's like things are happening there, but the sound is coming from over there, and everything's disjointed, disconnected.
Yeah, but everybody in this, they all have the painted face, the white painted face. His parents, the young kid in the bow tie.
Yeah.
Who's sort of like impeccably dressed, where his parents are like a mess. His dad's a drinker, his mum's like neglectful and just worried about putting makeup on and not what's happening with the kid. They hate him. And then when he grows his grandmother, and the grandmother, is born out of this weird
cocoon
tree.
Yeah,
well, it's like this tree grows in this bed.
Yeah, which is very Eraserhead. Very Eraserhead.
Very Eraserhead, and next thing there's a grandmother there. She has the white face that's painted and all looks. It makes everyone look slightly demonic, and it's a simple thing.
Yeah,
it's just a painted white face. But
it says that this is not reality. This is not. But then, is it practical? Was it just easier to paint them white because you can actually see the contrast?
Yeah, well, what he'd done, Andy, is painted the entire wall, the entire room black. Everything was painted black. To discern where the corners of the room was, he put white chalk, didn't he, around all the corners and around the door. Yeah. So you can see the room. Maybe painting the faces just so you can clearly see it.
Yeah.
In the way, because later on, people were complaining about how dark all these films were. Everything had to be dark all the time. But So maybe it was that, but maybe it was because it's carried on into Twin Peaks and other things. He must just like that aesthetic to show another world.
It's kind of ghostly.
It's
the disconnected sense of reality. As soon as you change the color of a face and give it teeth that are, especially LA. If you think about Los Angeles, teeth were supposed to be impeccable. Everybody's supposed to have a tan. It's going against everything that is acceptable socially. So to be white-faced and yellow teeth is the opposite of society's convention. So there's again he has his reasons, and it's either purely. It's probably no reason other than the fact that he just likes the aesthetic. And I can imagine.
Works. Yeah, it works. It works for him. On
so many levels, though. Yeah.
There's some great stop motion in this. There's a part where the grandmother's getting poorly and starting to die, and you may not have seen this bit. And she starts to start. She's like holding her throat, and she's like whistling and can't stop whistling. This horrible whistle is going round and round and round. And the kid goes downstairs to try and get his parents, and he's putting up, and the parents don't care about him, and he runs back up. And then he's got the kid flipping out. It's all done in stop motion. We're just flipping about. And it reminds me of parts in Twin Peaks: The Return. You know, when you're outside in
the gas station.
The gas station, they're all just stop motion and about. It looked like that. And again, I keep coming back to watching these earlier films of he was just fully formed.
Yeah.
No one taught him how to make film. No one taught him stop motion. He kind of worked it out as he went along.
Yeah, I mean, how did he figure that out? I mean, straight away.
And he's like this fully formed artist that's just come out. In the same way that no one taught Brian Wilson all these complicated chord sequences.
Yeah.
He just figured, he had this in his head and he figured it out and it came out in whatever way it came out.
That's it. And the thing is, we know that he spent months working on these things, and he was always experimenting, so there must have been a lot of moments where he's trying stuff and it's not working, and he's constantly going at it until it works. He is a kind of a perfectionist in the point where it's not meant to be perfect, but it's meant to match his vision. It's meant to match what he needs to achieve. And I kind of get the idea that he would have just gone through a lot of work to try and figure that high speed motion out, but he was always determined to get it the way he wanted it. And there's nothing, if he wasn't sure how to do it, he wouldn't have done it. If he'd have gotten to the point where but because of this. Was it George Stevens at the AFI recommended that Lynch apply for the AFI Centre for Advanced Film Studies? Yeah.
And so if it weren't for what he did do and what he figured out, he wouldn't have got to this next stage.
That's it.
Which would then lead to Eraserhead and,
Yeah, and the American Film Institute knew that something was that it was incredible with David Lynch, and that this was going to be a marriage made in heaven,
something truly unique about him, isn't it? Now the other one, The Amputee.
This was an interesting, very interesting.
It was 1973, and we'd been shooting Eraserhead for about 1 year. And at that point, we had run out of money. And it was a depressing time. And around that time, Fred came down to the stables one afternoon and said that he'd been asked to shoot a test using 2 different black and white video stocks for AFI to determine which stock was the best, because they were going to buy a bunch. So I looked at Fred and I got an idea, and I said, Fred, does it matter what you shoot? And he said, well, what are you talking about? And I said, could you shoot anything you want twice, and with one stock, one with the other, and go like that for the test? And he said, well, I don't see why not. So I said, could I write something and make something for tomorrow? And he said, okay.
So they literally just commissioned a test experimental film. You know, it didn't matter what it was. It was like, just go do something. But when I first watched this, I didn't read about it. I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
I didn't know that it was Catherine Coulson who was in there. I thought it was an actual person who was an amputee, and that was an actual nurse, and that this was more. I felt that it was real documentary style footage.
That impression, doesn't it?
It gives you that impression, which is a departure. This is because he's doing a test. He hasn't actually come to this with an idea. The actual test of the film stock precedes the idea.
Yeah.
So, in a way, it's kind of delivered to be a little bit more conventional.
Yeah.
There's nothing weird, other than, you know, if you want to say that somebody dressing the stumps of an amputee is unusual, as she's writing a letter to a friend.
Yeah.
About her misgivings and misunderstandings of a it's the Bechtel test, isn't it? What's that test? The
Bechtel test. Yeah, if two women in a film are discussing a boy.
Well, there's not two people in the film, but she is writing a letter to another person, who I'm assuming is a woman, about a guy, and. Yeah.
It does make you think, though, doesn't it, that, like, was Lynch in his day looking at Catherine Coulson?
Yes.
With stumps and thinking, oh, that kind of looks like a log.
Yes,
I can see you holding a log.
I know, I went there exactly the same. Once I figured out, okay, that's Catherine Coulson, who was the log lady in Twin Peaks later on. Those aren't her stumps. Those are... She has legs underneath there, and that is actually David Lynch poking around in there.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Actually.
And it all of a sudden it makes sense. It clicks into place that, like, the log lady, stumps, the symbolism, the duality, it's like, well, as soon as I got it, I was like, ah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
Yeah. So, yeah, and of course, then I watched it again, knowing exactly what it was. And it's like, okay, so it was written by Catherine Coulson. She obviously, you know, she, a friend of David Lynch from university. And, but it's just done so straight.
This isn't what I am telling you. You weren't in the room when Jim said that, and I was. And he really did. He told me that everything was fine between Helen and him. And I knew that even if he didn't say it, that it was true.
Yeah.
No cuts.
Nope.
Mission accomplished. Good. You know, he tested the stock.
Yeah. It's great, though. It's just...
I've made The Amputee. This film is here. Years to come, something else is going to happen, and it's going to connect. He loves connection. Yeah. He loves connecting with everything he does. Everything that he does in early life connects with his older life.
Yeah, and it's just... It's interesting. You want to know. Well, did you? Was that seed planted at that point? So years later, we have a log lady, or did it have nothing to do with it? Or do you just think, I've got this character in this thing called Twin Peaks I'm doing, called Log Lady. You fancy it? Who knows?
Yeah, well, what? Hang on, Catherine Coulson.
You want to join the dots?
Catherine Coulson. We can get Catherine Coulson into this. We did a film together, The Amputee. She had stumps. I wonder what we could do with that. And you know, you think maybe it was like just from that, you know, that obvious connection. Stump's log lady, she's holding, yeah. And yeah, you want to think that it's kind of all pre-planned, because David Lynch did the whole Twin Peaks thing of 25 years. You will see me in 25 years thing. He did that to prove that he could connect. But then now we're wondering, is everything else connected? It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. Or did Mark Frost ring David up and said, look, how do you fancy? We're nearly up to 25 years. Why don't we do another Twin Peaks thing?
Yeah, and David Lynch
people will just think that we did it on purpose. Yeah. Oh, yeah, all right, Mark. Yeah, that's
you know, it makes sense.
Mark.
Yeah, Mark.
Well, who knows? Or
Who
did
knows?
they plan that? Was it all planned the whole time?
Was it all planned?
You know, you just don't know.
No other director, no other artist raises so many questions.
No.
As David Lynch. Nobody, you know, and it's exciting. It's exciting.
Yeah. Part of the beauty of him is he wouldn't explain anything. So you're trying to explain it and join the dots, because he never would. He's like, it's art. Art is what it is. That's all it is. I'm not going to explain what this is. You want to explain, so the part of your human brain is trying to explain and join all the dots and make sure it'll work.
Yes.
But he would never do that, because, like he said, people expect art to make sense, but why when life doesn't make any sense? You know.
Exactly. And that's the whole meaning behind all of this, and maybe that's just it. There's nothing more we need to say about it. That's it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
That is the short films of David Lynch, the early ones.
The early ones, yes. Yeah, the black and white starkness of David Lynch's early career. I mean,
like I said, it's like he came out fully formed.
Fully formed, yes.
Came out, and the essence of Lynch and what's going to come and the things he did, they're all in there. They're all in those short films.
He's been around for centuries, David Lynch. Yeah. This isn't his first rodeo.
No.
And that's kind of the feeling that, you know, if ever there was such a thing as reincarnation, he's gone through all the iterations. He's made mistakes in past lives, and this is kind of like his last life, where he's figured it out. You know,
yeah,
that's what it feels like, and he's trying to explain to us what it's about. It's about this, that, and everything is beautiful.
Yeah,
it's incredible. So where really we go where we go from here is quite fascinating, really. Eraserhead is coming up.
Yeah, so
next week.
Eraserhead.
Yes.
Great.
Yes, finally. Thank you very much, Andy, for a great talk. We figured it out.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
We decoded.
We did something.
We did something.
Time passed.
Yeah, and this is our first accidental live broadcast of Frame by Frame. Thank you very much for anybody who's been watching. I'll check out the figures and I'll let you know what the viewing figures were.
So would they have been watching this as well?
It's like Frame by Frame with Andy and Stephen on the left, and then it's just us. It's kind of how I frame it so that I can see what I've got. I usually have a picture there so that I know which episode I'm. When I turn it into an MP3, I know what I'm looking at.
Right. So there was a few moments where I was going like that because I was just checking there was nothing in my eye.
No, there's nothing in your eye.
Fine.
Do you know what? You look together, dude. You look great. You've got the red keyboard behind you. You've got the blue chair. Yeah. You've still got some Christmas lights up. Forgivable. Another keyboard. Oh yeah, I've just got one keyboard over there and a piano downstairs. And my guitar's gone. Where's that gone?
I noticed. The Strat's gone.
Yeah, because I think
my guitars are over there.
I was afraid of knocking it over.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guitars over there.
7 guitars. As whether you know or not, Andy Lewin is a musician by not just trade, but you are fully formed as well. as a musician. Come on. You know, if you want to check out Face the Strange on YouTube, Face the Strange is where you can find Andy. And yeah.
Stephen's everywhere. Prolific writer, streamer, podcaster, man of the people, friend to the stars.
Friend to the stars. And yeah, so many stars. So many stars. But yeah, you can find us on Spotify. We're on Audible. We're on iTunes. We're at Wanagoo, Gaga, Libala. What's that one?
Yeah, there's the Blue Harvest.
Blue Harvest.
There's the Empire.
Sounds like a horror.
Empire Hope. There's the Raiders of the Temple Crusade. That's a good streaming platform. Go there.
What?
I'm making shit up.
I'm glad, because it sounds like Blue Harvest. I mean, that sounds
right. We're going nuts again, mate.
We're going nuts again. We got off the rails. This will all be cut out, and the episode will be absolutely brand spanking beautiful with production design as always. Thank you very much, Andy. It's been a pleasure.
Buddy. That was a great talk.
Next week, Eraserhead.
Good morning. It's February 12, 2025, and it's a Wednesday. Here in LA, a clear morning, very still right now, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, around 13 Celsius. I'm going to be headed to the dining car today for a piece of cherry pie and, of course, hot, fresh coffee from the year 1968. This afternoon, it's going to be going up to 79 degrees Fahrenheit. That's around 26 Celsius. And it looks like these clouds are going to be hanging on a bit longer than usual, maybe even up till lunch. But after that, beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine all along the way. Everyone, have a great day.